welcome to another edition of Dragon's Corner. This is Christopher King, also known as the Dark Dragon. Yesterday I promised you guys a video of outdoor footage. Unfortunately, that didn't take place. Today, I'm going to do a game review. Maybe if I have time later on, I'll actually go outside, because it's starting to get nicer outside, so I might actually go outside and do some shooting with the camera. Anyway, today's video game review I'm going to do on 3 games. Not just one, but 3. And this set of 3 games is a controversial set in the history of this title, only because not a lot of people really dig the story. They don't like the whole storyline. They think it's boring and yada yada. Right, but visually speaking, it's probably one of the best looking games that so far that I've played that this company's ever made. Visually, I find it good anyway, and that's all that matters. Just because, like I said to you before, these videos are my opinion, not anybody else's. So if you don't like your opinion, or you don't like my opinion then on these games, then obviously I'm not making this video for you. I'm making this video for somebody who casually plays games. Okay. Now to do the title reveal. And just hold on a second. I gotta turn the camera here. And then zoom, if it's possible. Zoom in on these titles. As you can see, there's a Final Fantasy 13, Final Fantasy 13-2, and Lightning Returns. Okay. Now, Final Fantasy is obviously a favorite of mine. Okay, I've played many of the games. I own a lot of these games. Or have owned a lot of these games in the past. Currently, right now, as it stands, I own those 3. I have Final Fantasy X, X-2 HD Remaster for PS Vita. I have Final Fantasy X and X-2 on PS2. I have Final Fantasy XII. I got Final Fantasy IX and Final Fantasy VII on the PlayStation 3, downloaded by PlayStation Store via PSN. Bought them cheap. So yeah, I own a lot of these games. Why I'm doing this particular trilogy is because a lot of people don't understand, like, being a big fan of the Final Fantasy franchise from the time it came out. I've been a gamer for ages, and my first real thing was the Super Nintendo. So I started playing Final Fantasy around the time when Final Fantasy 6 came out here in North America on Super Nintendo. It was titled Final Fantasy 3, though. That was my very first game, and I used to rent it religiously at Blockbuster Video, and it took me over a year to beat it, but it's one of the most interesting games I've ever played. And of course, then came 7. But no, this is about this particular trilogy. I don't want to get into details about the others, otherwise I'm doing a whole thing about the history of the series. But anyway, this particular series of games, Final Fantasy 13, I've never beat it all the way through. I would love to, but I find the one boss just too hard to get past. Balthier, or whatever his name is. Not Balthier. Bartantalus. It's the one where you got the big head and the little heads at the side. I can never get past that for some reason. I guess I'm either not skilled enough or I'm just not getting something. But up until that point, I've played. And up until that point, it's the more important part. Yeah, graphic-wise, awesome. I can't say enough about Square Enix and their graphics. They've done really awesome with graphics. Can't complain. Storyline-wise, the game, I find it's easy enough to follow. You start out as Lightning and Saz, and you end up with a whole host of other characters. You see a bunch of backstory, and some people find it boring. I find it interesting. The fact that you don't get to go on an overworld map, so be it. So what? This is like PlayStation 3 graphics. I'm sure if they wanted to fit a map in, they would have. But people want to actually play a game that's visually stunning, and you can't put all that detail into a world map. As much as we would love that, but to tell the story they wanted to tell, I think it's a good game. Although I've never completed it, for a first-time Final Fantasy person, I would say I would recommend not actually playing that one right away. I recommend any first-time Final Fantasy player to go back and play Final Fantasy VII. Maybe one of the earlier titles, earlier than that. Final Fantasy VII's, a lot better for beginners. And especially if you like the 3D thing over the 2D. Stick with 7 and work your way up into 13 before you make a judgment on that. It's not for a newbie. Final Fantasy 13 2. Awesome game. Awesome graphics. I like the control better. Far better game. Like what they did with the story, the whole time travel aspect. I actually beat that one. That one was fucking good. So, yeah. I'd say if you played the game, if you played the first one, and enjoyed it, and you want to continue the story, go with that one. Again, I played that one without even beating the first one because I figured, you know what? You know what's going to eventually happen anyway, so they're all going to save the world. It's all up to the player. But you just don't get to see the whole entire thing, how everything happened. So I played that one, beat it. Recommend it for people that have played the first one. Even if you haven't really beat the first one, go ahead and play the second one. The second one's pretty damn good. You got the whole monster aspect, the whole crystal thing. The crystal thing is really good. How you level up, it's awesome. It's one of the best. I think it's the best of the three so far. Now, Lightning Returns. This is where it gets a little different. Played a little bit of it. Find it extremely kind of difficult to do some of the quests. I know you have a time limit and you have to basically do as much as you can. Rewind time. And yeah. So, needless to say, if you want to pick up the series, pick it up. It's a good series. Play through 2. 2 is a must, definitely. 3, my opinion on 3 is kind of shaky. It feels a lot like Final Fantasy X2. X2 is not really that loved by many. A lot of people find it boring. I find it easier in Final Fantasy X, but 10-2 is kind of like boring for some of the people that want more out of their game. But anyway, I'm going to make another video later on today. I'm going to talk about other things. That's my game review. Let me know what you think, what your opinion is on Final Fantasy 13 to 13 trilogy. Me personally, I think it's a good game, good set of games overall. The story is kind of, but yeah, it's worth a playthrough, especially if you like Square's fancy graphics. Like, they got awesome graphics. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if you don't like the quality of the game. The graphics are what makes these games. It's like playing through a graphic novel. It's the only way I can express it. Hopefully I'll have some more info on those games, like when I actually beat the first one and the third. The first one, I'm not going to give away storyline, and I'm sorry if people don't like that. I don't give away story spoilers that much. I'll just say what my opinion is of it, because I'd rather a person find out for themselves what it's like. But for somebody like me who doesn't play games as often as they'd like to, they are good games. Bottom line. Alright, that's it about the games. I'm going to talk about some other stuff a little bit later on. I've been receiving a couple tweets. Well, I tweeted about something last night, and it's a thing that's kind of close to me. And I'll get into more detail of that on my next video. But I think it's an issue that needs to be addressed in today's world. Today, people think that, that this is okay to do, especially the youth, and the youth need to learn, you don't need to be doing this to other people. Okay, and if you're not wondering what I'm talking about the issue of bullying. It's sad, but we gotta make a stand and tell our youth that it's not okay to bully other kids. It's not okay. Now, I was bullied from God knows when I was a child, going to school, all the way to my high school years. And the way I dealt with it, I didn't have Facebook growing up. I didn't have the internet growing up. I didn't have all this other stuff that, you can get bullied on. I got bullied just for wearing the things I wore, or wearing what they consider poor shoes, and because my dad, we couldn't afford the like $100 shoes and stuff like that, and I got bullied for that all the time, and it's kind of personal, but I'll make another video on that later. But anyway, this is the Dragon's Corner. As always, you want more content from me, please subscribe to me. That'll be doing me a big favor. And thank you very much. And if you want to hear more of my rambling on about video games, just let me know in the comments. Thanks.